And welcome to Rauta Beyond 5 reviews, rather quickly done, without metal archives on the background. So in case you want to find more information, you just click on the links in the description box. Once again, going through alphabetical order, these are of various styles, so there is no distinction between, the order and the quality of the album. Let's tune in for reviews and start with non-metallic release. This is Der Blutharsch, or actually it's a lengthier version, which is Der Blutharsch and the Infinite Church of the Leading Hand. I had to read it because I wouldn't remember. Once again, this is an old band that has been releasing stuff under moniker Der Blutharsch and also with this lengthier version. And usually the description or the differences between two different differences or monikers is that, first of all, the band was, or more like project, was a side project, The Moon Lay Hidden Beneath the Cloud, or something in that direction. And it was more about ambience and martial industrial. Later on, this artist, or bunch of artists, I guess, because it's not one person anymore anyway, started incorporating different kind of elements into the music, becoming some kind of a psycherock meets kraut meets even grunge, some people have said. Well, to be honest, I'm not so sure about that, but definitely different genres. But this new one called Rejoice is a combination of all these elements mentioned. That is, there definitely some kind of a psycherock kraut kind of a feeling, but there is also a little of reminiscent of that martial industrial. In fact, it's kind of where the band is, well, the album is coming from, starting with the kind of martial arts, not martial arts, but martial industrial, meaning this kind of a neofolk kind of a thing. So it's lots of synths and then kind of female vocals, combined with this kind of rock and roll elements. One could even say that it's a little bit proggish indie rock. Kind of a weird combination for one album, and for me at least very, very hard to just label this with one word, because first of all, I'm no expert in anything and even less with music such as this. But this is definitely not the worst one with this name. Actually, I think it's one of the better ones. Interesting release, but definitely not for everybody. But in case you have never ever heard the band or the artist before, this might be your stepping stone into the music of that style. Then we go to Sweden with a band called Electric Haze, an album called Get In Line. Get In Line is an interesting release for a couple of reasons. First of all, it doesn't sound Swedish at all, but then again, Swedes have been famous for combining elements of different style and making all their music very, very international. It doesn't matter whether we are talking black metal or rock and roll music, death metal, they all have this ability to just, change their pop music or rock music or metal music or whatever into very, very international kind of a style, and that's what exactly happening with the Electric Haze as well. Now, this is rock and roll, the kind of a classic rock meets hard rock. It's not exactly the Beatles, but it's definitely not as hard as, say, Wasp or Mötley Crüe. It's not that close to metal music, but it's kind of harder than your Bryan Adams kind of a stuff. So I would say it's kind of a hard rockish, but at the same time it's a little bit easier. Kind of a catchy, kind of a well-rounded in corners, everything, the production is nice and all that stuff, vocalist is doing just fine, but it lacks personality. In my opinion, it has all the elements to become a new big band, but it's not having the charisma of a big band yet. Maybe it needs more touring, more recording and whatever, but basically everything here is pretty much well done. So in case you don't mind the lack of personality or lack of charisma, it's something to go for, in case you just happen to like a little bit of a mixing of hard rock and classic rock. Then we have a rather new band from Finland. This one is Poisoner, and it's from those guys operating in Jyväskylä region of black metal, combining members of various bands, but the one band they all have in common is a band known Funeral Bell, and it seems like these guys are ex-members of that. Well, 4 of 6 anyway. And it comes with a pretty cool tape design here as covers. This is even a limited edition of 100 copies, it seems. And this is how the band looks like. Bunch of tough dudes. 6 guys incorporating guitars, drums, even synths. And it's a combination of black and thrash metal, kind of old school way, which then again very much complements this kind of a tape release. This is less than 30 minutes of our total length, so it's kind of like EP version of release on tape. It's also released in digital format in case you kind of like hate this kind of analog format. I really do hate this kind of, I don't even have a working tape player at the moment, but somehow I managed to review this one. Now, this band shows kind of a lot of promise, but with this tape, they are very much in the demo phase. I mean, the production is quite weak and kind of a homemade feeling, and it's kind of lacking the power what this kind of music should have. Now, the drums are pretty okay, they have the power, but when it comes to the guitars, it seems like you need to tune in something more, something way more power. Now, when it comes to riffs, some of them are pretty decent, and especially the guitar leads and the melodic parts are pretty much right there where they should be. But the rest is more like filler rather than killer. So let's call it thriller. In my opinion, this band has the potential to reach some higher levels. Maybe the Finnish version of Destroyer 666, but this bunch of songs isn't quite not there yet. Promising, but nothing too fancy. But in case you don't mind old school approach to black and thrash with a little bit of keyboards added to the mix, go ahead and check it out. It's already been out since December 2020. Then we go back to Austria with the album called Downpath by a band called Scion of Darkness. And this is a self-financed release by this death metal band. And I don't know truly why they decided to go self-financed release, because in my opinion this release is good enough to get your proper labels interested in. Maybe they didn't find a proper label, but in my opinion the quality is enough for that. Now, this much suffers pretty much the same thing as Poisoner when it comes to production. Could be a lot better, but it's not bad. It's just something like, okay, the competition is so much more these days, you know, the bar is raised higher, and obviously you kind of need to battle those bands which sound more powerful and intense and all that stuff. But Scion of Darkness really battles that with the kind of a strong songwriting, and they have those rather chaotic, faster parts with the music, and during those parts it kind of gets too chaotic. When they kind of slow down in the mid-tempo section, it becomes more, say, tolerable and likable. Now, overall, this band also lacks is the originality. I mean, this is kind of old school death metal with a hint of modern touch, but it's not to include those kind of hit songs, if you will. I'm talking about, you know, bands like Cannibal Corpse or Obituary, or, you know, all those big names have at least something that is more kind of hit material, even if we're talking about death metal. But not bad, in my opinion. Rather good, rather potential band to reach higher heights. Well, whatever. And then we will finish this one with a something that could be described as a bedroom black metal one-person project with 3 songs, MCD. Well, this is CDR, so it could be very much seen as a demo, as a CDR format. Self-Obscurement is the name of the artist here, or the name of the band, and it's the same name going for this release as well. As you can see, pretty simple in design, just 3 songs and 20 something minutes. And this is also, by the way, from Austria. I don't know what kind of Austria spike happened, because 3 releases, 1 video from the same country. Now, this is kind of a lo-fi bedroom atmospheric black metal, going roughly the same ways as, you know, Swedish band Hermodor, or in a way Burzum. So it's kind of a like lo-fi tuned guitars, which is kind of a raw end, but not super raw, not super primitive like, you know, Illion or all that stuff. Not exactly going very aggressive or violent, but more like, you know, had this kind of a painting feeling, you know, taking a look at the nature and all that stuff, and trying to convey those, you know, beautiful atmospheres in your mind and all that stuff. But kind of fails, because, to be honest, the songwriting isn't too shabby. I mean, it's not bad, but this is kind of a mediocre in all. And it doesn't really help that the overall sound is quite weak. I mean, it's more, I guess, forgivable with this kind of music when we're talking about atmospheric black metal and all. You know, you don't mind necessarily so much when the guitar sound is kind of weak sounding and all, because you're all about those atmospheric parts. But let's be honest about it, this is a little bit of drone-ish in a way. I wouldn't say as far as goes snooze fest, but to some people it might be just that. I mean, in case you're into your black metal and will say, I want Marduk, I want those bands with high tempo and aggressiveness and violence, this could be indeed a snore fest. But who knows? You decide for yourself. Once again, links are provided for every band, every release here, so go check it out. Different bands for sure, from death metal to black metal to black thrash to martial industrial stuff, and what was left without mentioned. Well, different kinds for sure. That kind of a rock band. Anyway, go take a look, figure out which ones are your cup of tea and give them a listen. In case you like videos like this, give a thumb up, and in case you don't, just give a thumb down and say, sorry, don't do Indie 5 videos anymore, I don't like them. Anyway, see you soon, bye bye.